Singapore is hoping to get more countries back on track towards reducing greenhouse gas emissions at this year's United Nations Climate Change Conference. The COP28 conference takes place in the United Arab Emirates from tomorrow, and participants will be submitting their first report cards on efforts to slow rising global temperatures. Now, one of them is Sustainability and the Environment Minister Grace Fu. Choo sits down for a one-on-one chat with the minister.
You'll be leaving for Dubai soon. Could you share a bit more about, what is so significant about this year's COP for Singapore?
For this COP, it's important for us to put the focus, global focus, on climate, because right now there are just too many distractions, important problems in the world, and actually climate doesn't wait for us. COP28 is that annual forum for us to bring governments from almost all countries in the world, to bring different sectors, private sectors, to bring the people sector, the NGOs, the universities where research are taking place together to have meaningful conversation, to pay attention to climate change.
Minister, could you also share a bit more about what you'd be doing in the upcoming trip and what are some of your priorities?
Paris Agreement was signed in 2015, and since then we have seen really quite a lot of energy and participation coming. Finance sector, for example, has really made a very big push. We've seen that in the aviation, we've seen that in maritime, and many companies themselves are making net zero 2050 commitments. All these movements since 2015 really allow us at this point in time to take a stock take, to say, okay, collectively, what have we done? How do all these add up? Going forward, what do we need to do? This is very important, given that we have seen in some countries where there seem to be some backtracking, some reversal of policies, some policies have been delayed. It's not a good sign.
And this is the second year that Singapore will be having a pavilion at COP. What are some highlights that we can look forward to?
What we have learned from last year is that it's a very useful place for participants together. They need a place to really get together, to exchange notes, and to really inform each other about what they are doing. So sometimes you're doing in what your industry has an impact on mine, and I can borrow some of the technologies that I see and apply it in mine as well. It's going to be a big COP. Many people are attending, many top-level CEOs are attending COP, and it's important for them to also see what others are doing, so that these deals get the mind share of decision makers, of policy makers, and we hope that this will be a great opportunity for us to showcase and also to scale.
I understand this is the first time there will be a youth delegation as well. Could you tell us a bit more about what they will be doing there and also why you decided to involve so many more youth this time?
When we talk about 2050 being a critical year, they will be in their late 40s, 50s, prime of their lives. They're probably business leaders, industry leaders, or even policy makers themselves. And if they're going to be in the stewardship position, they should really get involved right now and to help steer this mothership of ours. And we want to make sure that when they're making certain decisions, the trade-offs that they're proposing, they have full picture of the constraints, of the needs of the people, industry and government. More importantly is that we think that it's a great opportunity for them to grow as climate activists, because climate is a global problem. For us to have a global solution, we need to be inclusive. So our youth also need to take into consideration the views of other youth activists from other countries.
Local businesses are gearing up for this year's United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP28 in Dubai. Beyond marketing their products, they're hoping to form new partnerships with overseas players as well. Choo tells us more.
Whether it's investing in a reforestation project or a wind farm, Air Carbon Exchange, or ACX, provides the digital platform for clients to buy, trade, and use their carbon credits on such initiatives. It's something like an online marketplace for verified carbon offset projects. The Singapore firm plans to showcase its product at COP28 to attract like-minded clients.
The broader vision is for us to create a network of carbon markets, because this potentially could be a rather fragmented market if we are not careful. And what we'd like to do is to actually knit the world together so that they can more efficiently and effectively trade carbon credits, which are a form of climate finance.
Silver Strand Capital hopes to get more investors involved in biodiversity projects too. These are in areas like wildlife conservation and sustainable aquaculture. It's also holding a competition at COP28 to secure funding for winners and also link participants up with partners.
When we are involved in the nature investing space, we notice that the space is very nascent and it's very dynamic, and entrepreneurs need more than just capital to survive and to thrive. They could also do with some guidance and some support. What we want to achieve there really is to showcase solutions to the biodiversity crisis and the climate crisis.
Both firms plan to tap the collaborative spaces like Singapore Pavilion at COP28 to network, conduct talks,
The circular economy and how we can eliminate waste,
and demonstrate their sustainability strategies.
The Singapore Pavilion aims to bring businesses together to showcase their different solutions that support climate action. It also promotes collaboration between both local and international partners so that everyone can come together to achieve the global goal of net zero by 2050.
It's all part of plans to scale local solutions on an international level. This will then help other economies decarbonize and adapt to the impacts of climate change.